Sergio Perez time at Red Bull might be over, but don't count him out just yet. While he's stepping away from the grid for the 2025 season, the man once known as the Minister of Defence could be gearing up for an epic return. At least that's the bold claim coming from his father, Antonio Perez, who's teasing a historic comeback for his son. But the big question still remains: when Sergio returns, which team will he call home? The dismissal came on the heels of a challenging 2024 campaign where Perez scored a mere 48 points over the final 18 races, despite signing a 2-year contract extension mid-season. His struggles contrasted sharply with teammate Max Verstappen, who, despite facing his own car balance issues, clinched his 4th World Championship. The gap between the two drivers grew to an unflattering 285 points by the season's end, with Red Bull also losing the Constructors' Championship to McLaren. These results left the team's shareholders with no choice but to part ways with Perez, bringing his Red Bull chapter to a premature conclusion. Antonio Perez, however, remains optimistic. Speaking to Soy Motor, he asserted that Sergio's best years in the sport are still ahead of him. The best version of Checo Perez is yet to come, he said, projecting confidence in his son's ability to stage a triumphant return. What is coming will be historic. Formula One has not seen the last of him. Antonio's words carry a mix of hope and defiance, emphasizing the unique challenges of securing a seat in a sport with only 20 spots globally. For him, Red Bull's decision was not a failure, but part of the ever-competitive nature of motorsport. For his part, Sergio Perez has adopted a more reflective stance. In interviews following his dismissal, he admitted he didn't anticipate being ousted and is now focused on spending much-needed time with his family. Having been a mainstay on the F1 grid since 2011, Perez has spoken candidly about the toll the sport has taken on his personal life. "My priority is to enjoy myself, to do things I haven't done before, to be with my family," he shared. The 34-year-old has given himself 6 months to decide whether he wants to pursue a return to Formula One or explore new career avenues. While Perez's immediate future remains uncertain, speculation about his potential return to F1 in 2026 has already begun. One of the most plausible opportunities could lie with Cadillac, a brand slated to debut its F1 program that year. General Motors, the parent company of Cadillac, has expressed interest in fielding an American driver alongside an experienced partner. Perez has been a fixture on the F1 grid since 2011, navigating a career filled with highs and lows. He's driven for teams struggling to stay afloat and for teams dominating the sport. Red Bull might not have worked out as planned, but that doesn't erase his value. The reality is that Red Bull's car development revolved around Max Verstappen, so Perez's input may not have carried the same weight. A fresh start with Cadillac could be just what Perez needs to revitalise his career. Being part of a new team with a blank slate might allow him to step back into form, leveraging his experience to help Cadillac build from the ground up. Another possible destination for Perez is Alpine, a team known for its unpredictable driver lineup decisions. Pierre Gasly has already locked down one of Alpine's 2 seats for 2026, but the second seat is still in play. While young talents like Jack Doohan and Franco Colapinto are eyeing that spot, Perez could be the veteran presence Alpine needs to steer the ship. Alpine has been on a bit of a roller coaster. Their 2024 season started miserably, with Gasly and Esteban Ocon struggling to finish races, let alone score points. However, a series of personnel changes turned things around, culminating in a double podium at a rainy Brazilian Grand Prix. Despite that turnaround, the team still lacks a solid driver lineup beyond Gasly. Jack Doohan is set to join in 2024, but rumours suggest his contract might not last. Franco Colapinto is also in the mix, but Alpine may hesitate to gamble on another rookie if they face more setbacks in 2025. That's where Perez could come in. His vast experience and knack for adapting could make him the stabilising force Alpine needs to rebuild and compete at a higher level. Whether it's with Cadillac or Alpine, Perez's next chapter could prove pivotal, not just for his career, but for whichever team secures his talents. Although his time at Red Bull had its challenges, Perez's career has been highlighted by flashes of brilliance. His ability to nurse tyres to perfection and execute bold race strategies earned him a reputation as one of the most dependable drivers on the grid. This was evident during his time at Racing Point, where he secured his maiden F1 victory at the 2020 Sakir Grand Prix. Those qualities haven't disappeared. They've merely been overshadowed by the relentless pressure and expectations of being Verstappen's teammate. And that's one of the issues people had. They expected Perez to match Verstappen in a car designed for Max. Even Verstappen admitted it. He said the car was incredibly difficult to drive, but it just happened to suit his driving style perfectly. Expecting Perez to match Verstappen's performance was unrealistic from the get-go, and Christian Horner knew that. But the problem wasn't just performance, it was the fallout, the drama, the internal conflicts, and key people leaving the team all contributed to Red Bull's dysfunction at the time. For Perez, it reached a point of no return. Despite efforts to make the car more suitable for him, he started making rookie mistakes which only added fuel to the fire. Horner was fully aware of how crucial Perez was, not just on the track, but for revenue and the massive Mexican fan base that only had him to root for. But when Horner finally began publicly criticizing Perez, it was clear his days with the team were numbered. Jos Verstappen also played a part in the drama. At the start of the previous season, when Perez won 2 races, Jos was reportedly unhappy. He didn't like seeing his son being tested within his own team, and that's where a lot of the internal friction began. Here's the thing Perez fans need to remember: he's a solid driver. His last season with Red Bull doesn't define his true skill. Look back at 2021, there's a reason he was called the Minister of Defence. He played a key role in helping Verstappen secure his first title. Wherever Perez ends up next, expect big things. He brings massive experience, especially when it comes to working around a car's issues and helping develop it. For a team looking to build something special, Perez would be a huge asset, similar to how Fernando Alonso is helping Aston Martin chase their dream of building a supercar. Looking ahead, the narrative surrounding Perez's potential return will hinge on several factors. The 2026 season will see significant regulation changes, including the introduction of new power units and sustainably forced initiatives. Teams will be looking for drivers that can adapt quickly and provide valuable technical feedback. Perez's experience across various teams and car setups makes him an attractive candidate for such roles. However, the road back to Formula One won't be easy. The sport is notorious for its cutthroat nature, where even the most talented drivers can struggle to find a way back once sidelined. Perez will need to showcase not just his driving skills, but also his ability to adapt to the evolving dynamics of the sport. His break from racing could be a double-edged sword, offering him time to recharge, but potentially leaving him rusty when compared to younger, hungrier drivers. Ultimately, Sergio Perez's story is far from over. Whether it's with Cadillac, Alpine, or another team, his return to Formula One could be one of the sport's most compelling redemption arcs. For now, fans will have to wait and see how the next chapter of the Minister of Defence's career unfolds. Could we witness a historic comeback in 2026, or will Perez's legacy remain defined by his Red Bull years? Only time will tell. Let us know what you think about Perez's chances, and don't forget to stay tuned for updates on his journey.